Good evening. At the 26th Asean-China Summit, President Bongbong Marcos says the Philippines will continue to assert its sovereign rights and territorial disputes in the South China Sea. To tell us more, here's Jean Mangaluz reporting live from Jakarta, Indonesia. Jean?
Zach, President Bongbong Marcos directly told Chinese Premier Li Qiang that the Philippines will continue to uphold its sovereign rights as prescribed by the United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Sea. While Marcos expressed gratitude towards China for helping the ASEAN grow, he said that growth is only possible with peace.
We must emphasize that practical cooperation in the maritime domain can only flourish with an enabling environment of regional peace, security, stability, anchored in international law. The Philippines, therefore, continues to uphold the primacy of the 1982 UN Convention under the Law of the Sea as the framework within which all activities in the seas and oceans are conducted.
Marcos reminded Lee and the ASEAN leaders that the Philippines had just hosted the last negotiations on the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea in Manila, which he said showed progress. In other ASEAN news, Marcos also spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau during a bilateral meeting. Trudeau invited Marcos to Canada in commemoration of the two countries' 75-year-long diplomatic relations. The Canadian PM pointed to the two nations' deep trade relations, as well as the Filipino-Canadian diaspora. In turn, Marcos said he was glad to see Trudeau in a third bilateral meeting since the Philippine president's term. However, neither Marcos nor the palace publicly confirmed that the president will go to Canada. Marcos also met with Indonesian business leaders and the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, after which it was announced by the palace that the Philippines received investment pledges amounting to $22 million.
That's Jean Mangaluz reporting live from Jakarta, Indonesia. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation promises to settle majority, if not all, of the 27 billion peso unpaid claims to hospitals within 90 days. Philhealth President and CEO Emmanuel Ledesma Jr. makes this commitment during the House Committee on Appropriations hearing for the budget of the Department of Health. This after Agri Party List Representative Wilbert Lee lamented how some hospitals turned away patients due to Philhealth's unpaid claims.
We will completely, hopefully, or very high percentage po within 90 days, no? Yung 27 billion po, you can, pwede nyong, naka-record naman to, diba? So, within 90 days po, we will try to pay a very high percentage of the 27 billion.
According to Ledesma, the agency will be using the debit-credit payment method formula to accelerate the settlement of hospital dues. The said method provides for the fast release of funds to hospitals while their reimbursement claims are still under process.
We are preparing to use the DCPM formula, no? Yung debit credit payment mechanism formula, no? And we will use that to make sure that our reconciliation will be accelerated, no? So again, based on our discussion yesterday, I'm confident, Madam Chair, Honorable Lee, I'm confident that within 90 days from today, no, bulk or majority, if not all, of the 27 billion will be paid off.
Top executives of Philippine Health Insurance Corporation tripled their salaries in accordance with an executive order issued by Malacanang in 2021, according to Philhealth spokesperson Israel Francis Pargas. During the House Committee on Appropriations hearing for the budget of the Department of Health, a Nakalasugan Party List Representative Ray Reyes asks about the Commission on Audit report stating the salary increase. According to COA's annual report released last month, Philhealth's key management personnel received 71.45 million pesos in 2022, around triple compared to just 26.2 million pesos in 2021. Pargas clarifies their increase was based on EO number 150 series of 2021 issued during the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Yeah, what is the basis of the sudden increase in your salaries? You tripled it, eh?
Our salary was increased based on an EO, an executive order. We were granted the salary increase as certified by the GCG coming from the EO.
Yeah.
The EU approved the compensation and position classification system framework developed by the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations. Pargas says the Philhealth applied to the GCG, which approved the certification process, tripling the official salaries. Reyes then questions the fact that Philhealth had applied for the tripling of salaries during the COVID-19 pandemic. Pargas tries to justify the request by citing that the EO that allowed the pay hike came from Palace and not from Philhealth.
You guys had the guts to actually, during the middle of a pandemic, actually put out an EO to triple your salaries to be in effect this year in anticipation of what?
Mr. Chair, I would like to check po that the EO is not coming from Philhealth, but was coming from the Malacanang as part of, again, the standardizing the salaries of all the GOCCs. So it's not only for Philhealth, but for all the OGCs which underwent the same process.
The Department of Trade and Industry says the 15,000 peso financial aid for small retailers affected by the government-imposed price caps on rice will be released within the week. DTI Assistant Secretary Agaton Uvero makes the announcement in a public briefing. Uvero also clarifies that the price caps only affect regular milled and well-milled rice and not special rice.
Kung malito, hindi po lahat ng bigas covered ng price cap. Pangalawa, sa mga retailers naman, tulong-tulong tayo within the week. Magsisimula po yung release ng DSWD ng ayuda, assistance para sa mga naapektuhan ng mababang presyo.
According to Uvero, the price ceiling on rice will not be implemented for long and will be lifted as soon as market prices stabilize. When asked how many retailers will be provided with the subsidy, Uvero says around 25,000 retailers have been listed in Metro Manila alone, adding that they will first prioritize small retailers in public markets registered to their respective local government units. He says the DTI will also scour for sari-sari stores who may not be registered to their LGUs to provide them the subsidy.
After verification, validation na legitimo sila at nagtitinda silang palugi o nalugi sila sa nakaraang araw. Target po natin bago matapos ang linggo, magsimula na ng distribution ng DSWD ng financial assistance.
Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Zach at sa lahat mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Hindi na nakialam si Jean Garcia sa naging desisyon ng kanyang anak na si Jenica na tuluyan ng makipaghiwalay sa kanyang asawang si Alwin Oitingco. Naniniwala ang seasoned kapuso actress na baka hindi talaga para sa isa't isa ang estranged couple at mas mabuti nang magkanya-kanya na sila ng landas at mag-focus na lang sa kanilang co-parenting agreement. 3 taon na ngayong hiwalay sina Jenica at Alwin at inaayos na rin nila ang annulment ng kanilang kasal. Sinubukan naman daw ng dating mag-asawa na isave ang kanilang relasyon pero hindi na raw talaga umubra. Ayon kay Jean, ginawa naman daw ng dating mag-asawa ang lahat para mag-work yung relationship pero mukhang hindi nga talaga destined for each other. Ang wish lang daw niya ay maging magkaibigan at magkasundo pa rin sina Jenica at Alwin para sa mga anak nila. Sabi pa ng aktres, matagal nang nakapag-move on si Jenica sa breakup nila ni Alwin at ang palagi lang niyang payo sa anak ay maging strong at kahit na humaharap sa pagsubok ay huwag kalilimutang magdasal kay Lord. Naniniwala rin daw si Jean na parehong may pagkukulang sina Alwin at Jenica sa kanilang pagsasama. So feeling mo Miss Jean naka-move on na talaga siya dun sa nangyari?
Matagal na. Matagal na. Ano lang talaga siguro they're not meant for each other. Pinilit naman nila na mag-work ulit, diba? Na mag-working relationship. Pero I guess talagang yun yung nila, destiny nilang dalawa. But they have children, so I hope na yung kahit pa paano maging magkaibigan pa rin sila talaga.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Zach.
Maraming salamat, Irvin. Here's the latest roundup of today's top stories. President Marcos directly tells Chinese Premier Li Qiang that the Philippines will assert its sovereign rights and territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Philhealth spokesperson says their top executives tripled their salaries following an executive order issued by Malacanang in 2021. And MTRCB Chair Lala Soto's resignation sought after suspension of its showtime. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Zacharian Sarao. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net.